When you're an entrepreneur, moving is not just a life update, it's also a business decision. So, life update, I moved and I clearly need to stock the shelves a little bit more. I'll show y'all what we got so far though. Whoa. Anywho, when we've been house hunting since January and it's now the middle of June, the entire time we were very picky. It's also not a great time to buy, especially where we live, the inventory is just really low. So it's very competitive. So certain things that were very important to me were, and my partner, because we are aligned, like he knows my business plan. He's very dedicated. He helps, he pitches in, he knows the deal. So when we were looking, we both knew it was very important that I had an office where I could close the door and where I could cultivate a space that was going to bring out the best business owner possible from myself. Part of us choosing the house was a business decision. I needed to have proximity to the networking events I attend. It needed to have proximity to the place where I am building my local network, but it also needed to be secluded enough that it created focus. And it also needed to be a space where I can host, because I want to eventually begin founder exclusive invite only founder dinners, and I want to host them here. And then it also needed to have an office that didn't need to be anything crazy. This is like the smallest room in the house, but it just needed to be a space where I felt creative. And this shelving was built in, and when we found it, we were like, oh, that's Erica's office. And so part of that was a business decision, right? So in this video, I want to talk about new home, new office, new chapter, and how we're setting ourselves up to make sure that this is an incredible business decision that propels the business forward. And so in this video, we're going to talk about environment and the setup. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about work from home systems and new systems I want to implement now that I have this space. We're also going to talk about riding the energy of this new chapter and how sometimes, you need to be able to create habits that you can consistently follow. But sometimes if you feel the passion, you need to just follow that while you have it. If this is something you're interested in, if you're an ambitious female who is building a business or a big career, or you have dreams and ambitions of building a big business or career, I think this video would be helpful for you. Whether you're doing a cross-state move or you're moving 20 minutes up the road like I did, this is meant to be for everybody. I hope you watch it while you're doing your laundry before the week, and I hope it takes you into the week feeling inspired and hopeful, and with maybe a little bit, hopefully you learn something new you can take into the week with you. Let's get into the video. So let's talk about environment. Environment has direct psychological and neurological connection to output. The connection between the space you're in and what you're capable of producing is something that has been actively studied, and there are multiple studies published on it. One thing that I know as an entrepreneur of several years is that the success of my business, part of it rides on the quality of my decisions and the creativity and the innovation in the outputs that I feed into the business and the team. So how do I cultivate that in a house? How does that happen here? Like I said in the intro clip, it was very important to us to make sure that I had somewhere that I could close the door, or somewhere that I had work mode. So when I step into this room, I am in work mode, and I'm specifically creating the environment to neurologically trigger things in my head of, okay, work mode time. So we're going to be painting, we're going to be putting things up, we're going to be creating a content corner, there's going to be a whiteboard. Like, this is going to really become my space, and we'll talk more about my vision for that in a moment. But essentially what I was looking for was a mental switch, because before, my workspace was always just kind of in the middle of a high traffic area. And it's just because I lived in a city apartment. Those are naturally smaller. We have a lot more room here. We're in the suburbs now. I also have greenery, very important. So you can't see it behind me, but I have plants in here, both living and fake. And then I also have a window right there, and we have greenery outside, and I have a freaking palm tree right outside my window, which is like something I've been manifesting since I was a little girl. So it's very, very exciting. As entrepreneurs or ambitious females, control over our environment is such a competitive advantage because it invites focus instead of forcing focus. So let's talk about the fun stuff, which is the vision and the setup. So we're gonna do a little tour, but before I do the tour, I'm going to tell you that the people who lived here before were carpenters. So they put in these shelves. We did not put those in. And there is one small window in here, but I'm okay with it. I made the trade-off for the room with the smaller window because of the shelving, and this still gets light all day long. So you come down the hallway, that's the window. This is not set up at all yet, so let's just remember that. It has a fan, which is very important because I need to be able to run that if I'm hot, or I have a blanket if I'm cold. Over here, I have my frames, which those actually might move to a quadrant there, but essentially this will become my content corner. So we'll have a chair, the tripod's in the closet, but it will become like very cute. This is going to be wallpapered. So I'm gonna get peel and stick. I'm just kind of picking what I wanna do. That's gonna be a very fun background. And then we're gonna be filling this up with trinkets and greenery and things that make me feel productive. We have a dog on the ground. And then back here is where I'm imagining the whiteboard will go. So I was originally gonna put the whiteboard here, but the content corner's there. So I believe we're gonna switch these to over here. They're not nailed into the wall, they're command stripped. And we're gonna do a big whiteboard there. And yeah, that is the vision. I'm still working on all of this, but we have real plants, we have fake plants, we have things getting put in here. Obviously, I have a lot of space to fill. Yeah. So obviously it costs money to furnish this, right? And because it's my office, most of it will be a write-off. But I don't have that much. And I have a list here and I have it prioritized with my approximate, like how high I'm willing to go. The first thing I want to do is get the whiteboard. And I assume that's going to be somewhere around $130. And I'll probably just go to Target and get that. The second thing is the peel and stick. It's actually not, I'm not gonna need that much. Like this isn't that big. I have done peel and stick before and I think I spent $90 on a much bigger wall than this, but I have $70 budgeted for that and I will go through Amazon for that. I'll probably do that during the Prime Day sale later this month. And then the third thing I wanna do is the rug. I always use rugs.com, so I'm going to be budgeting about $130. I actually think it will be less than that because it's not, again, that big of a room and I don't need it to cover the full room, but we'll see. The fourth thing I want to do is get artwork for back here, just like one big piece of artwork. And for that, I have $150 budgeted. I think I'm going to hit up some markets. 150 for how big might be too small. Like it might not be enough. But I also have friends who are artists and I might commission a piece. So TBD, that might be more or less. And then the fifth thing is the chair, which I'm willing to go up to 150 on, but I think I can keep it under 100 if I can find one on Marketplace. So this could rise in priority if I find the right chair in Marketplace, but that's how I want to deal with things. And I'm hoping just to have it furnished by the end of the third quarter. So this month I'd really like to do the peel and stick and the whiteboard. And then like July and August, I would probably be hunting for rug and artwork. And then we would get the chair probably September. So that's the budget plan. That's the vision. That's the budget. That's what I'm prioritizing. So now let's talk more about the systems that are going to make this space what I want it to become. So the final thing I want to talk about is how a space is actually a system. Think about how environment affects you. Is there a coffee shop that you go to and you get a ton done versus another coffee shop that you've gone to and maybe it's a little bit harder for you to focus there? Or maybe you've walked into a gym and you feel like really locked in and ready to go versus another gym you're feeling maybe overwhelmed or just uninspired by it. Or you go into someone's home, a friend's home, and you immediately feel overwhelmed and just kind of like your heart beating faster, just like claustrophobic almost, versus another home you enter where you immediately feel at peace and comfortable. Environments communicate expectations, and this is where the systems piece really comes into play. So your environment, when it comes to working, is either going to increase or reduce friction. It's going to amplify your energy or it's going to drain your energy. And it's either going to encourage focus or it's going to invite in a bunch of distractions. It's up to you to design. Environments create patterns. So if you have a cluttered desk, that's a pattern of avoidance. If you work in a really noisy space, it's going to create a pattern of surface level thinking because you can't unlock that deeper thought. If you work from the couch, you're creating a pattern of casualness. An inspiring and intentional workplace creates a pattern of momentum. That's the difference. So when you're building as an entrepreneur, we take on an incredible cognitive load every day. We're making decisions, we're solving problems, we're regulating ourselves and others, we're communicating, we're prioritizing, and we're creating. So your environment can either support your nervous system in these activities or it can compete with it. I view my workspace as an operational partner, and that sounds a little woo-woo, but let's talk about it. The one I'm creating, it needs to produce energy and put me on the path of least resistance to get to my desired outcomes every day. The key components of an office system to me are it makes focus easier, it makes distraction harder, it lowers energy required, it reinforces identity. This is a big one. When you walk into a workspace that feels aligned with who you're trying to become, so for me, it feels intentional, it feels calm, it feels powerful, you immediately start telling a different story in your brain. So for me, hopefully that's going to be one of someone who takes my work seriously. I'm someone who's building something big that's going to change the world. I operate at a high level. this matters. It also increases the likelihood of that repeatable output happening every single day. So what does a space need to do for you? You need to decide that. Does it need to encourage deep work? Does it need to be a space where you can knock out all that administrative task? Does it need to be a space for creativity or collaboration? For me, it needs to encourage deep work. It needs to encourage creativity, collaboration, strategic thinking, and calmness. But you can't have opposite priorities competing with each other. So this is a space for deep work. So I should not be expecting to do good admin work in here. I'm going to be taking my admin work to the sunroom. That needs to happen somewhere else. This space is for my deep thinking, my good output focused activities. When a space has a clearly designed purpose, your brain starts learning that script. So you need to remove the friction between intention and execution, and you really can achieve that in a space. Examples of friction, if there's cords everywhere, which there is right now, that tells your brain, that creates a script of disorganization, disorder, incompletion. If lighting is harsh or dim, cognitive fatigue increases faster. That's a proven thing. That's not even just systems thinking. This is why building a system in your space is so key and important, and I will keep you guys updated as I go. But really think about the pattern and the script you want your brain to be thinking. So even if you're not moving right now, you can redo your space. Redo it with intention. Think through what you need to happen in that space and then design it to meet that. And you don't need to drop $1,000 on it. This can definitely be done with small tweaks and minimal cost. You don't need to move to start a new chapter, but if you are fortunate enough to be moving right now, ride that wave. It's a great catalyst for leaping into change. It's essentially an interruption to the autopilot mode that we live every day. You know, we wake up, we do the same thing, we do this, we do that. It's the same thing every single day. And eventually we reach autopilot, and I will reach autopilot here as well. But for right now, I'm riding this wave of newness because this is a very unique opportunity. My old environment reflected a version of me that I've been trying to shed for so long. Moving breaks that script. It takes it and just snaps it. It's why when we go to co-work from other places, sometimes we feel like insanely productive and have more energy. It's because it breaks that script and we start seeing it differently. The brain tells itself something new. But the real opportunity is not just changing where you live. It's deciding what is going to exist in the environment that you're working within. So some questions to ask yourself if you're moving right now or if you're going to make a change is what do I want this new season of life to feel like? I encourage you to journal this. What habits deserve to come with me into this new season? What patterns should end as I open this new chapter and close the old one? What kind of energy do I want this space to reinforce? What does my future self need repeated exposure to every single day? Entrepreneurs, we're not only producing deliverables, we're also producing cognition, and cognition is extremely expensive. So designing our spaces to enable us to take this on can help a lot. So I'll bring you guys along for the journey, but I hope this helped. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you back here next weekend. Bye.